Welcome to Go Rangers Radio, where the New York Rangers are always the talk of the town. If you bleed red, white, and Rangers blue, hail the king, follow the bread man, and know how to spell Capo Caco, then you've tuned to the right place. And now, here are your handsome hosts, Kevin DeLury and Paul Cuthbert. They're not always going to get it right, but you can be damn sure they'll pretend they are. Now, let's go Rangers Radio.
Yeah, good afternoon, good day, and good evening, depending on what time you're listening to us. It's Go Rangers Radio time, ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting live from New York, baby, on the Go Hockey Media Network. Yours truly, Mr. Paul Cuthbert. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, your friend and mine, Mr. Kevin DeLury. KD, how you doing, buddy?
Good, buddy. Good to be back from the Christmas break, I guess is what we're going to call it. We haven't been on air. What did you say? I think you were saying before the show, 12 days since our last...
Father, for we have sinned. It's been 12 days since our last podcast.
I feel like a podcast virgin again. It feels like the first time.
I am never going to be able to unhear that.
Back in the saddle.
Ladies and gentlemen, Katie's new tribute band playing at the Paramount next week. K-Donna. So how's your Christmas, buddy?
Very good, my friend. Very good. Lots of eats, lots of drinks, lots of presents. So good time. How about you?
Awesome. And a very happy Hanukkah to all of our friends out there as well, too. It's been a great couple of days. We just timed everything to kind of chill. It's weird with the way the Rangers schedule's lined up, and Christmas and New Year's Eve, right in here on New Year's Day, obviously with our Wednesday podcast, kind of screwing our schedule up. But so we took 12 days off in between. We're back, and the Rangers have been kind of busy since then. It's been 5 games during the break since we and you have been back on air, starting with the loss to Toronto at home. After 38 games played here, KD, 19, 15, and 4, still have a winning record. 42 points, 6th in the Metro, 20th in the league, and currently 6 and 7 points behind the Canes and the Flyers for the wild card, and only 9 points back of those Icelanders. I point that out. I want to start doing this on the show because we're going to catch them. We're going to get them. And I know we got a couple of big games against them coming up in January, so but I'm going to leave that note there because I want to catch those guys, So that's where we're at. We got Edmonton tomorrow night to close out 2019. And again, 5 games since the last show, 6-3 loss to Toronto, 5-1 win against the Ducks at home, and then a really weird game against Philly, 5-1 loss there. I couldn't believe it. I was watching the first 2 periods of that game and then came back and they just blew that one. And then the boys bounced back, 5-3 win at home against the Canes, and a big 5-4 win against the Loafs there in Toronto. So we're all caught up, KD. Have a nice evening and Happy New Year.
Yeah, after that Toronto game, I started to get a little bit worried about this team because I think at that point they had lost like 4 of 5 games and 5 of 7, and it looked like they were going to go into this tailspin we had sort of all been waiting for this season. And that's going to happen with a young team, and to their credit, they really turned their game around. They've now won 3 of the last 4 games. Like you said, they had the back-to-backs with Carolina and Toronto, and they've sort of righted the ship here. I'm starting to feel real good about the team. The problem, I think, during that losing spell there was that they were way too top-heavy. There was no secondary scoring. It was only Panarin and Zibanejad were the only guys getting it done. And you really seen guys step up over the last, 4 games or so. Ryan Strome has sort of gotten his scoring touch back. Chris Kreider is finally scoring again. So there's some encouraging signs here that this team is maybe heading in the right direction again.
Yeah, and we were talking about that. You brought that up about the secondary scoring, and I just kind of made some notes here for our goal scorers here in the last 5. Brady Shea's grabbed 1. Connor McStrome has 4 goals in these 5-game stretch. Book put 1 in. Heedle's got 1. Howden's got 2. Howden about that, baby. Chris Kreider, when he's not taking stupid penalties, he's got 3 goals here in these 5 games. Mika just playing great stuff. Another 4 goals for him. Fast has 1. Panera's dropped 1 in between his 1,000 assists that he's given everybody. And Tony D gets the big OT goal against the Leafs the other night. So, mixing it up a little bit there, and that's some good stuff. So, I mean, going into this game, I'd really love to see them put a bow on this trip here and this year and beat Edmonton. And I think they can do that. And I guess the guys are having a little bit of confidence here. And, bravo to the guys, no doubt, especially beating Ronto in their building Saturday night. Now, I was up in Massachusetts. I had a show myself, so I didn't get to watch the game, and I tapped in on some of the highlights. But, we were driving back from the gig, and I just turned to my guitarist, and I said, oh, yeah, the Rangers played tonight. I said, do me a favor. I said, get the score. And when he hit me back and said they won 5-4 in OT, I said, I was just really just impressed because the Leafs kind of had their way with us when they came to the Garden that night. And I think that's a good thing. And for the first time here and, winning back-to-back games and with a chance now to maybe win 3 in a row, which is something they really haven't done in a while. And I was joking to you in the text yesterday, hey, you said, Paulie, when are we going to do the podcast again? And I said, when they win 6 in a row. So if they can get this win tomorrow night, buddy, we're halfway there.
Well, you're way more positive about this team right now than I am. There's no way they're winning 6 in a row.
Come on, baby.
But, just to go to the Toronto game, they did give up a lead in the third period, which is always concerning. I mean, like always, they gave up a ton of shots. What else is new? But I did like the fact that they were able, despite giving up a 2-goal lead in the third period, I like that they were, and again, I said resilient before as far as coming back in the last 4 games. They showed that sort of resiliency in the game as well. Didn't hang their heads, came out in OT and still won it. So I think that's a good sign for a young team to be able to take that sort of gut punch when Matthews scores that goal in the final minute to tie it up and still be able to sort of recover, regroup, and then get the win in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, this is, the theme of our podcast here is, you're scratching your head, the roller coaster theme we've talked about and trying to stay positive, finding out the system here, what's going on. I was joking about my theory about with Quinn and the line changes and, he's writing all this stuff down, and eventually we're going to figure out where we're going. What's your take on that here in the last 3 games as far as how he's been rolling the lines and what you've seen, from the play of the guys in and around, the goals that they've scored? But just do you see any kind of new kind of flow that's going on here? Anything you can kind of point out?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest thing right now is him putting Howden on the wing. I think Howden, he struggled a bit this year at center. Look, he's 21 years old. It's a lot of responsibility to be a center in the NHL. And I think at times he was a bit overwhelmed. So Quinn admitted that he had given Howden a pretty long leash this year, and maybe that it was time to try him on the wing. And, since he's put him on the wing, he sort of looks like a completely different player. He has 2 goals in the last 4 games, and he's playing very well. He's a lot more noticeable in the games. And I think that it also sort of extends the lineup a bit. It opens it up a little bit where you have, a better look at some of the lines now, where you had a line the other night. I think it was Hedl, Howden, and Kakko. I mean, that was your third line. I mean, sort of like a kid line there, which to me gets me real excited as far as, I know Kakko isn't really playing very well, but, he's an 18-year-old and this stuff is going to happen. But, to have a line like a Hedl, Howden, and Kakko line as your third line, I mean, that's so nice, and it's so great to see, and it's so refreshing. Me and you, we go way back with the Rangers in the years that Sather was trying to, buy every high-priced free agent out there, and for them to now be going through this rebuild and have a line such as that. And I even pointed out at one point during the Toronto game, that was the forward line, and they were on the ice with Lindgren and Fox as well. So you had that 5-man unit out there. I mean, if you're not a Ranger fan and excited about seeing that 5-man unit, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you might as well just start watching another team, because it's exciting times around here in Rangerland. So to me, the biggest thing I'm seeing that I saw over the last couple of games as far as Quinn with the lineup is moving Howden to the wing. And I think that helps out the lineup overall. Now, what would have been nice and what made the lineup even deeper if Mr. Elias Andersson didn't decide to quit on us. He could have been someone who potentially got brought back up, especially now that Lemieux went down with the broken hand. So, the lineup could have been even deeper. And I'm sure we'll get into Andersson a bit and what's going on with his situation. But I think moving Howden to the wing really sort of extended the lineup, made it a little bit deeper, and a little more skill level throughout the lineup. But yeah, unfortunately with Andersson, saying he wants to get traded, it's a little bit of a detriment to the team there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And what's your take here on I mean, obviously just starting that line that you're just talking about with Hedel and Howden, but as far as if you were behind the bench and with Kakko, I know you're saying he's young here, but if the drought continues a little longer, is he a kid that you're just gonna let ride the bench until he finally pops one in if it takes another 6-7 games, or does Quinn have to maybe look at possibly sending Capo down to Hartford?
Yeah, I think that's an option. I don't think that shouldn't be off the table. It should definitely be something that Quinn and JD and Gordon are thinking about. You can't sort of let his confidence completely get lost up here. If you need to, send him down to Hartford, let him get a reset down there, get him on a line with Kratsov, who's been playing great down there since coming back from Russia, get his confidence back up, send him down there for a month or whatever it is, 2 or 3 weeks, and get his confidence back and bring him back up. I mean, it worked for Hedel in the beginning of the year. And I think that it'll work for Kakko as well. The kid is pressing. He's 18 years old with all, the expectations on him. And I think he's feeling it now as he's going through this big goal drought. So, yeah, I wouldn't be against sending him down to Hartford and having him try to figure it out down there with a lot less pressure on him.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we talk about here. We touched on it on the last episode. At least I brought up that eventually, next week or something, I want to start looking into the Wolfpack roster here and see what goes on. Because if Quinn can pretty much, you have your pool up front as far as what's going up there on the first 2 lines, definitely. And the guys seem to be gelling a little bit. And what we've seen here in the last 5 games, the goal scoring's been spread out a little bit, not heavily, but at least you are getting some help. And it's been different styles of games that the Rangers have played. I mean, this is the other thing we were talking about, too, as far as the upcoming schedule. Seeing a little different looks from a couple of different kind of teams, and seeing how they can adapt here, and along with the offensive thing, this way Quinn can maybe, if he sees the guys up front are rolling a little bit, and they're popping some goals in here, then he can kind of look at that option to maybe, hey, let's send Capo down and see what's going on. And maybe in 5 or 6 more games, Kratsov is kind of showing some consistency and nothing to lose by bringing him up. You want to just touch on your take here on Kratsov as far as that possibility coming up, and while we're on it here, let's talk about the Andersson situation and how that whole mess is kind of unfolding.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Kratsov goes, I mean, all the reports that you're seeing from Hartford is he's sort of figuring it out. I mean, the coach came out with a quote that, he's playing the right way or he's playing hard, and any of the highlights or clips from games I've seen is the guy is hustling, making plays defensively and offensively. So, maybe the guy, again, another young kid, sort of looked at himself in the mirror after, the debacle in Russia where he was sent down to their minor league club and said, look, I got to figure this thing out before it's too late. My dreams of playing in the NHL are over. So, he's gone to Hartford with the right attitude. And it's showing not only on the scoreboard, but just on the ice in general. It seems as though the organization is very happy with the way he's come in and his mindset. And it's just a great thing to see. There's going to be bumps along the way with this rebuild. Not every prospect is going to develop the way Fox is or the way Lindgren is. Some of them are going to have, these just sort of trials and tribulations along the way. And it's good to see that, Kratsov is dealt with this adversity the right way. It looked like he wasn't when he wants to go back to Russia and he doesn't want to figure it out here. But look, sometimes, you need that sort of punch in the gut or that look yourself in the mirror moment. He has, and it looks like he's now doing the right thing. You know, as far as Andersson goes, you